Saturday night was as electric as I've ever seen Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. It was fun just to when we were driving up to see the magnitude of the crowd. It's by far the most that our fans have come out to greet the team. They were actually standing out in the roads. There wasn't enough room for them coming into to the stadium. So I thought the fans made a huge difference in just setting the scene for the game. And then it was by far the loudest I've ever heard our fans. The players were talking about it in the dressing room after the game, and they were even talking about it yesterday, how much fun it was. And we'll need that same thing 2:30 on Saturday afternoon this week. It was a good win for us, but we're learning so much from this team and these kids. Jordan Shipley said after the game that you don't get any prizes for 7-0. Being rated right now is just a reward, but it really means nothing unless you finish, and we got to refocus and go back to work. And that Roderick Muckleroy said about the same thing. Number one gives you nothing. You got to prove who you are and continue to do so. And the guys were talking about Oklahoma State in the dressing room after the game, and I thought that was a great start to the new week, because these games, you don't get to enjoy these things very much and very long at this point in the season. You can enjoy them after they're over. After the season's over, but not during the season. And we do feel like that right now our theme for the year, consistently good to great, is more valid than ever, because we've got to continue to be consistently good. We're playing at a high level, but we're not a great team yet. And we've got to be a great team for 60 minutes for the next 5 weeks to give us a chance to play in the championship game, which is what we want. Big guys dominated the game, both sides. It was really fun to watch the two lines of scrimmage. And when you do that, the rest of it, Colts, fabulous night, the receivers' catches, all those things happen when the big guys up front are making it happen. And we thought the tempo was set by Roy Miller on the first play of the game when they ran their reverse, and he hit them in the backfield. We had more explosive plays. We had 14 explosive plays to their one. We ended up with we had no turnovers again, which was huge for this ball game. And we forced two, really. We had the interception, dropped a couple of interceptions, but we also had a fourth down stop in the end zone, which we count. And when we won both of those categories, we're 63-0, which is a telling fact. Third down efficiency, we were 10 out of 12 on third downs, which just lets you stay on the field. And in the red zone, we didn't count John Childs taking the knee at the end of the game. We were 6 for 6 in the red zone without that one. The two dominating offensive linemen for the week, the Boss Hogs, were Adam Ulatowski and Charlie Tanner. Most productive player offensively was Colt McCoy. I think 29 out of 32, 90-something% completion, a couple of balls batted down. It's just a phenomenal performance. Greatest contribution were Quan Jordan and Brandon Collins. It's good to see Brandon step up and get to make some plays. The great play of the night offensively was Malcolm Williams. What a great catch in the end zone. That, again, set a tempo that we needed to continue on a long yardage play. And we thought after Quan's hit on Lindy Holmes last week, we really should give an offensive big hit if there is one. And Chris Obanai had the big hit for the night offensively. There were 3 drives of over 80 yards. And you have to look at Colt. This time last year had 160 completions. This time this year he has 160 completions. The difference is he's thrown 44 fewer passes. So it shows you how much better he's playing at this point. And he's 27-6 as a starting quarterback is his record. Bobby Lanes is 28-6, and Vince Young, the most productive, was 30-2. So Colt's climbing up that chart very quickly. And Colt also broke Vince's record of being responsible for 81 touchdowns. Colt is now responsible for 82. Defensively, we felt like the first half was really, really good. We held them to we were 5 out of 6 on third down stops. We felt like the tackling was really good. The first team defense did not give up an explosive play, and we held them to 31 yards rushing on 18 attempts, so that's 1.7 yards per attempt. And we were really, really pleased. 121 yards the first half against one of the great offenses in college football. Again, the guys up front did a great job. There were 13 quarterback hits, 7 pressures, and 2 sacks, and 4 3-and-outs. Offensively, we didn't feel like that we ran the ball as consistently well early in the games we wanted to, and we also felt like we had way too many penalties. Defensively, it was the same. There were too many penalties And when our guys changed up in the second half and some of the second teamers went in, which are a step away from playing when you're 7 games into the season, we did not play very well. We didn't play with the same intensity, and we felt like we lost our focus some in the second half. In the second half, we were 1 for 3 in stopping third down conversions. So we do feel like that there's some area there that we can improve. Players of the game defensively, Roy Miller and Roderick Muckleroy. Ball hawks, meaning they did something to take a ball away or knock a ball loose. Palmer, Deion Beasley, Ryan Palmer interception. Deion Beasley had the 4th down stop, and Brian Arakpo forced an interception by hitting Chase in the end zone and having the ball come out late because he had to throw it, or it would have been a safety. And the hard hat award was on the first play of the game with Roy Miller because he knocked him out as he was coming through. In the kicking game, we felt like that it was just okay. Jonathan Gold was the punter of the game, and he punted for 47.5 yards per punt, which was really, really good again. We thought we were inconsistent on our kickoffs. We were inconsistent on our kickoff coverage, and we were inconsistent on our kickoff returns. So those are errors, and they did a good job punting away from Quan and Jordan. We had 2 back for the first time, and we really didn't get much out of our kicking game, and it was disappointing. Oklahoma State's done a great job under Mike. 2 things that jump out at you very quickly are there's 57 Texans on their roster out of 85 scholarship kids. So a lot of guys coming back home to play this weekend. 6 of those guys are on offense. There's 15 starters from Texas on this football team. So it tells you. Kendall Hunter's the 5th leading rusher in the country. Des Bryant's one of the great receivers. He's like Jeremy Macklin. You better know where he is at all time. And he's also a great kickoff and punt returner, along with the kicking game that I feel like is the best in the country. Paris Cox is also a young man from up at Waco that does an outstanding job in their kicking game. And Zach Robinson is he's one of the best in the country in passing efficiency. He is 3rd right there with Colt. And they're just a really, really good football team. So it should be another barn burner. It should be a great game and a lot of fun to see. And, again, we want to thank our fan base, but encourage them to come back out and have the same excitement on Saturday that they had last Saturday.
Coach, you're 10-0 against Oklahoma State, but you've had some really exciting, wild games. What is it about this series that makes it so exciting that you've had their number the last few years when it looked unlikely the Horns were going to come back in some of those games?
When you start looking at series, they really don't make any difference anymore. You can go back to the 5 games we had with Oklahoma. It's about this year. It has nothing to do with the past. It has nothing to do with last year. It doesn't even have anything to do with last week. This is by far the best Oklahoma State team that we've seen since we've been here, and we think it'll be a great game.
We used to talk about it's crazy the teams throw it all over the place. Oklahoma, they didn't get the memo because they run the ball pretty well.
Yes, Oklahoma State is one of the best running teams in the country. In fact, they have 21 rushing touchdowns as compared to 3 passing touchdowns. So they've been very, very physical. They've got a really good offensive line, and Zach Robinson's another one of those quarterbacks that's just very, very efficient in the passing game, but he's an outstanding runner. And Mike Gundy's taken over the offense. He's the offensive coordinator himself, and they're doing a lot of different stuff. They use a lot of different formations. They're running a lot of option. Like Oklahoma, they will quick count you and try to get you off balance. So our defense will have to be really, really physical this week, and I think we're number 2 in the country against the run, but no one has tried to run the ball against us like Oklahoma State. So that'll be the big thing this weekend. It won't be just another passing day for us. It's going to be a real physical game.
Got them settled, come back to Missouri. How do you get the team up again and play these 1-week seasons? Is there going to be another funeral?
Well, there would be if we'd have lost. I mean, that would be so hopefully we won't. You can't use the same thing twice. What you're trying to do is keep them loose and let them get a message. And that message is just that you need to just forget everything that's happened, reinforce the positives, correct the negatives. And the good thing is we didn't play as well the second half Saturday night. We had a great first half. So there's a lot of things we can coach and go back and work really hard on. And what we'll do is we'll come up with 2 or 3 little things that are fun for them just to try to make the moment a little light, but let them understand that the rest of the group can enjoy Missouri. The rest of the group can still enjoy Oklahoma. What we've got is a bigger goal right now, and that's Oklahoma State.
Coach,
saw the ands and ors on the depth chart. Were you just kind of being coy with us the whole time about how good this team is, or are they surprising you?
No, they've surprised me. I think I knew they would be good because our teams have been good for 10 years. I mean, I thought they'd play hard, and I thought they'd win a lot of games. But to be playing at the level they're playing right now has surprised me, and I think it's a great compliment to them. It's really important to give them credit for team chemistry and unselfishness. And I think it's really a compliment to the assistant coaches when them pulling together, because this whole bunch right now is pulled together and they're having fun. They're enjoying each other and they're enjoying playing. And I swear I'm in the dressing room after the game, they're talking about Oklahoma State. I mean, it's just the way they've been, and that's it's hard to get that chemistry, and it's even harder to keep it. And I think that's the fun thing about this team right now.
When you talk about the offense, 3 drives over 80 yards, will you talk about what Greg Davis has been able to do and how over the past even 10 years he's really gotten the brunt of maybe the criticism?
Well, first, the offensive coordinator is going to get the criticism because we've got 20 million play callers. Everybody in the state of Texas calls plays, men, women, children. I got little bitty kids that come up and say, "Why are we throwing the screen better?" You know, it's one of those deals. So that's part of being a coach at Texas. We got a lot of coaches, got a lot of help. And I think there's probably been some help in here sometime too, probably, if I'd go back and try to be realistic about it. But Greg has done a great job because he really he's kind of the mindset of this team. He doesn't care about any credit. Criticism does not bother him. It eats a lot of people up. He does not care at all. He doesn't look at it. He doesn't listen to it. He knows that he's good at what he does, and he is constantly trying to get better at what he does. And the best thing our offensive staff has done, because you can't talk about Will without talking about the other 3, really, and you can't talk about Greg without talking about the other 4, because they sit in there hours together and formulate these plans. So it's not one guy, and very honestly, when it's working, they're easy to call because you got 5 calls on 3rd down, and if everybody's blocking everybody, probably all 5 will work. And if the day it's not working, it's when his job gets really bad. I mean, I remember one year I was coaching the offense at Iowa State. I was the offensive coordinator, and we were playing Nebraska. And at that time, you scripted all the plays, and we had 19 plays we were going to run to change formations and change the plays, start the game. We'd gone through all 19 and hadn't made a first down. And I remember Donnie Duncan saying, what do you think, Mac? And I said, I think we ought to try to kill as much clock as we could and get the game over because we're going to get beat. And that's about what happens when it's not working. I mean, you just have to try to find some way to change it. But Greg and that offensive staff for 10 years, I think the best thing they've done, they've been able to figure out who their best players are and feature those players. They've changed offenses. They've been running one year with an emphasis. They'll throw it every time. They're no huddle. And right now for this team, what they've done is they've taken each of the components and what can Jordan do best and what can Quan do best and where does Chris come in, and Major right now is fighting with how to handle the running backs. You know, we put Fozzie in for a play the other night to let him get hit in live just to make sure he felt okay, and now where does he fit? And so we're constantly looking at how you need to feature each of these guys and what's best for our team.
Coach, it seems like this team has an identity that is one of a team. You know, so many times in college football, one player gets singled out or the coach gets singled out. What does it mean to you to have the team have this cohesive identity to the country and to the game?
Well, it's a great message to all of us in that it's about family and it is about team. And if you give up your selfishness, it makes it work better in every business in the country on our staff. Everybody's that way. I think I saw maybe 15 different guys have scored touchdowns on this team. And it might have been 15 different offensive guys, and they really don't care. There's not one guy. There was a receiver that didn't touch the ball as much, and he was walking out Saturday night after the game. I said, sorry you didn't get as many touches tonight. And he said, Coach, it's not about me. It doesn't matter. And here's a young receiver, and I'm thinking, it really doesn't matter. And that's good. That's the fun part of this team right now, and our staff's having as much fun as we've ever had because these guys are just trying to do everything right. We feel pressure as a staff to make sure that we help them get accomplished what they want to because they're working so hard and they're trying so hard to reach out to everybody, and I think the fans are responding to them the same way.
Coach, whenever it does happen, I'm not sure when it will, but what kind of a head coach is Will Muschamp going to be?
Oh, Will be a great head coach. He's smart. He's tough. I probably overuse this term, but for me, he grew up in a coaching family, so that's who he thinks he is from, and wanted to be from a very, very young age. He's got a great relationship with kids. He is he's very demanding. He's very tough, but he is as positive as he is tough and demanding. And he's I don't know if you call him a workaholic. I mean, he's a guy that works all the time. I mean, it's really, really important to him to be prepared and have our team prepared. And he's a great staff guy. He's a lot of fun. He's got a wit and a sarcasm about him that's really fun. And he's usually like the offensive. These coaches work so hard. They're over here really early in the morning. They leave late at night, and so they spend all the time during this time of the season with each other. And the offensive coaches will go buy chicken or they'll go buy something for their lunch, and they say, if you ever need Will, just buy some food and he'll show up. I mean, that's it. It's like he's got a little beeper that says offense brought me some food. And they say that they think the defense could buy some food to him, and it's not something that's against the rules. So, but they have a great time. But Will will be a great head coach.
Coach, you said your team isn't great yet, but what words would you use to describe the way your offense is?
They've just been really consistent. We're not dropping balls. We're not having turnovers at this point, and we're not dropping balls in the passing game. And Colt's been accurate. I mean, this isn't new for us. He was this way the first year, so we've seen it. It's just who he is. But there's a ball in the Oklahoma game where Quan is covered on a third down, and it's over near our boundary, and Colt throws the ball perfectly low and outside, and it's a very difficult catch, but Quan reaches down low and catches it and turns up and makes 8 yards for a first down. And that's just the efficiency that we're seeing. And then you see a guy like Malcolm Williams jump up and make a catch that pulled Colt out of one on Saturday night because it was just a deep throw for a chance. And when you start doing that, guys just step up and make plays.
Do you talk to your guys about tuning out? I mean, the 05 team won it all, but USC was kind of the talk of the regular season. Or do you not worry about that?
We do talk about it on Sunday, and we talk about it Sunday only. I do feel like in trying to evaluate how to talk to this team each week that the juniors and seniors were with the 05 team. So we're really, really lucky. They've been through all this. So it's not like we don't have guys in the dressing room talking for us. And if they'd never been around it, it would have been much more difficult. But if you've got the freshmen that are sitting there all giddy and excited and talking about this and that, these older guys can say just what Jordan Shipley said. There is no prize for 7-0. There's nothing that matters about being number one in the BCS the first time it comes out because we know there's already been 3 or 4 that have dropped. And we also, you turn on the film of Oklahoma State, that'll make you forget about BCS really quickly. I mean, that's what we did with them Sunday. We started showing them Oklahoma State film. We showed them the stats. We showed them, we were able to show them how good they are and how productive they've been and said, you got a long way before you can start talking about what the BCS really means.
Coach Chris Openeye continues to excuse me, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie. I hate it too, but Ed doesn't care.
They say nice guys, good guys finish last, but when you talk to Jordan and Colt and guys like Chris Hall, does it seem like this team kind of goes against that grain?
I would say nice guys finish first because every night that they lay down to go to sleep, they feel good about themselves. And they have a conscience, and they know they do things right, and this team's full of good kids. And I mean, it's not 4. It's the whole bunch of them know the difference in right and wrong, and they're really, really trying. And they're policing themselves within, saying, don't go out and don't do this and be careful and be smart. And so this team is really, really working to try to live up to the standard that's very high at the University of Texas. And win or lose Saturday, these kids are trying to do everything in their power to make sure that this is the best team it can possibly be.
Chris Openeye continues to get bigger and stronger. Has that been a big surprise, or it just seems like he's just better every week?
Yes, I don't even know if it's a surprise because it's just still Chris. And he's a receiver and quarterback out of Straight Jesuit in Houston. He's done a lot for us. He's so unselfish. He started at receiver, then he played fullback, then he played tailback, then he played fullback, and he's just bounced back and forth. And Chris is the same guy every day. He's very intelligent. He's very nice. He is so unselfish. He's like a coach. He's sitting in there with Major helping the other guys, and he's another one. When I need something, if I'll go to Chris and say, tell me about these 3 running backs. And he'll sit down like Major and say, well, this one I think's doing this right. And he's a good kid, Coach. He's really a good kid, needs to get tougher and got to work a little harder. And so he's very, very mature. But I'm not surprised at what he's doing. Because he's been around a long time and he gets it. He just understands the deal. There's so many special stories on this team. I think that's what makes the team what it is. Colt's recruiting story, Jordan's injury story, Quan's baseball, Chris's whole life, and how he bounced around here and had all the tragedies in his life, and he's come out of it. Chris Hall actually committed to Oklahoma State. And when Les Miles left, he changed his mind and came here. So, I mean, there's just story after story after story, and that's what makes it such a fun team.
Okay, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you all.